Welcome everyone. Hey, how are you doing? This music, well, I really gets me a bit pumped actually. It's like we're going to a rock concert now. So hi, my name is Julia Kemmesies. I'm the head of marketing for the Ackuretta Americas, and I'm super excited to host this launch event here today for Ackuretta. Yeah, before I really jump in and show you what the new 3D printing solution by Ackuretta is going to have in store for you, I would love to introduce you guys to our guest speakers. This is not the first time that they're with us here today, but they are our favorite guests, so we'd love to invite them again. It is Jimmy Fincher and Kelly Fincher, the owners and founders of Cosmetic Advantage Dental Lab down in Louisville, Texas. They founded the lab, now I gotta get my facts straight here, in 2009, and today they focus on producing high aesthetic restorations and service over 80 clients in all over the US. Jimmy started his career in the Air Force in 1990 and opened then Cosmetic Advantage Dental Lab with his wife, Kelly, who's here as well. Aside from their busy life, Jimmy lectures for digital imaging companies and helps dentists adopt digital workflows in their own offices. And Kelly, who has a background in nursing, has taken on all 3D printing workflows at Cosmetic Advantage Dental Lab and has since also taken on a role in teaching and training dentists and technicians in 3D printing workflows, from models to long-term provisionals over splints and everything. So I think we couldn't have asked a better duo to join us here today, and I'm really excited to hear from Jimmy and Kelly about their journey with 3D printing. We have a wonderful picture of the two of them because these guys got their first Ackuretta system a year ago, actually. And I'll show you later a picture of what their lab looks like today. So how about Jimmy, Kelly, you guys tell us a little bit about your lab, what you guys really focus on today.
All right. Well, yeah. Hello, everyone. So we have, like Julia said, we opened our lab in 2009, and because there was a recession, and that makes a lot of sense. So we decided, why not go ahead and take a chance and see what we could do. So I'd, been a lab tech for quite a while at that point, and was pretty excited to see how that would go. And we started out just me, and Kelly kind of doing all my models for me. So she went from being a nurse to a model technician, and we just kind of grew from there. And today we're what, 12, 13 technicians, 17 total. So we're, not a large lab, kind of medium, but we do tend to focus on aesthetics and cosmetics, and kind of do a little bit of everything.
Right. We just got a question from Carolina. Is everyone having good audio? Carolina said that there was issues with the audio. Everyone else is good. Do send us your questions into the chat, guys. We are able to answer some questions maybe throughout the session, but we will collect all questions for later for a live Q&A sessions. If there are any problems with audio, please send me a message, but it might just be on your end, unfortunately. Hope that's resolved soon. All right. Let's jump right in, I'd say, right? So you guys opened up your lab. What are the workflows you guys use the Ackuretta system for right now, and once you first started?
Well, for us, so like printing, because we've been printing for a while. I think what, Kelly, we probably started printing in 17. So it's
Yeah,
been a while that
2000.
we've been printing, but when we found this system, we really wanted to be able to print kind of everything. And so, we kind of started out with models, and we definitely print a lot of models, a lot of models. And so but that wasn't necessarily what I looked at the Soul for initially, because we were really also getting into starting to do more and more printing of actual teeth. And so, we really wanted to be able to do something that was going to be very accurate. And as you can see, we also wanted something that was a pretty small footprint, because a lot of printers were kind of big. And so that's why this one was really kind of appealing for us. And then, obviously from the second we started using it, we just kind of took off with it.
Where did you maybe see like I mean, I think you talked about the materials already. What was the considerations that you had as you went into getting another printer? And, why did you even get another printer? Because you already had equipment from 2017, sure. Correct? No.
Right. So, because we started out, kind of models were the first thing we tackled. The problem is that they weren't real usable for fitting crowns to. And, so what we do mostly is making crowns. And so the accuracy of our models weren't really what we needed to. In fact, we avoided, for the most part, using them for actual production. We were mostly printing models for diagnostic purposes or for other companies that were using them for various things. But we really wanted to be able to get into actually printing models that we could make our teeth with. And so, especially once we discovered the CURIE beige, I think is what it's called, right? Am I getting that wrong?
Yeah.
Curo
The
beige?
Curo
Okay.
element beige.
Yeah. Oh,
but
element
I think
beige.
for us, we had been in a closed system, and we were ready to really expand into something that gave us a lot more options. We wanted an open source so that we could have access to multiple different resins, multiple different manufacturers. And then we also were just looking for something that was faster than what we currently had. We saw that digital dentistry was only continuing to grow, and that 3D printing was something within our lab that we weren't fully utilizing. And so once we kind of made that decision to kind of go with Ackuretta, we were able to really expand our workflows and make them more efficient within our lab, bringing on these printers. And that's really what the biggest change and why we chose Ackuretta was to accomplish those goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this kind of leads us over really nicely to what we're going to talk about today. And this is really like, what are actually right now still the top 5 printed applications by labs. And the LMT magazine does a study on this every year. They publish this data, and I always find it very interesting, because what we're seeing is that models for C&B, study models, night guards and splints, wax ups, and surgical guides make up most of the items that labs print, in at least in the US as of now. This might be different data around the world. But I find it very interesting, because we hear a lot about these ceramic filled materials recently, but the reality is that a lot of people still print heavily models, and splints also make up a good chunk of that, just because they are easily done by printing. Now, I have a question, and the audience, please feel free to add your comments to this, because I find this is very interesting and might be different from place to place. What are lab owners and operators looking for when they're shopping for a 3D printer? And Kelly, Jimmy, you guys already gave me a bit of an answer to this. When you were looking for a new printer, what are like the key features of the printer that you wanted to have?
For me, it was 2 things. Number one, without any question, was the accuracy. Because I don't care about anything else. If it's not accurate, it's completely worthless to me. So when we were looking, that was the first thing I wanted to make sure of. And probably the second thing for me was going to just be the materials. I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to print what I wanted to print, using whatever brand of materials I wanted to be able to use. And previously, when we were doing printing, we were pretty locked in, because our system was pretty closed up. And so you pretty much had to use what they had or nothing. And that's not a good option. So I really like the thought of being able to, no matter what, print whatever I want.
Kelly, did you have something else to add to that, or you?
Yeah, no, I mean, when I look at the list from LMT, it's very indicative of what is growing in our lab. So we started off with models, like Jimmy said, but now it's, I mean, we try not to do traditional wax ups. We want to do digital wax ups. You know, we are way more digital now than we are analog. And we've really seen that switch just accelerate since COVID, right? To where we have more and more doctors every day who are giving us a call saying, hey, I just bought this X scanner. What do I do now? And so we, with that shift in the digital, we're doing our digital wax ups. We're printing night guards, which is actually something as a Crown and Bridge lab we weren't doing. But now with 3D printing, we are doing it. And so, and bringing on the sole has been a new thing that we now offer. So for us, this is very indicative of what we are seeing within our own lab practice.
Yeah, and I think so. I don't know, like audience, feel free to add to this. I find this super interesting. So LMT also asked lab owners, operators, what they were looking for when they're shopping for a 3D printer. And here are the answers. 88% are looking for accuracy, which obviously it makes a lot of sense. You want to have a printer that prints exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for speed, looking for a diversity of material portfolio. They're looking for reliability and uptime, obviously, because every time a printer's down, that might be, you know, that's a cost. And then you have also technical service and support, which I think is a very, very key component to this entire thing. And I'm very glad to say, working for Ackuretta, you know, that we do deliver 5 out of 5 on this. Because, and I will go into this in detail, and I'll show you how our system works. We truly highlight all of these pieces. And obviously, it is not a dental printer if it can't be accurate. So that's really something we focus on. It's in our name. All right, so here it is. This is the Sole Plus. It is designed for precision and high volume 3D printing for dentistry. So what does that mean? The Sole Plus has a XL build platform that prints up to 28 full arches vertically and 8 full arches horizontally if you place them flat. And it has a 45 micron x5 pixel size, which means you're just going to get really nice, clean, smooth edges and really fine prints. It also prints from 30 to 150 micron in layer thickness, so you can select that as well. And Kelly will show us later why that is really important in their lab to have a perfect fit. The Sole Plus also comes with a built-in thermal agitator, which is a heating rod that is really great for optimal print results in any environment. You have a sensor in that heating rod that ensures that the resin temperature is always correct, and it will actually prompt you to heat your resin if it is not the correct temperature before you start your prints. It also heats the resin incredibly fast, 20 degree Fahrenheit within 5 minutes, or roughly 10 degrees Celsius in 5 minutes, which is really impressive. Most resins don't need to be heated up to 27 degrees Celsius, but it is definitely nice, especially for those really viscous materials that are becoming more and more frequent in the market. So a question that we should address is, why do you actually need to heat resin? Resins tend to be highly viscous, especially those that are ceramic filled, that are transparent, or castable resins actually as well. And as you're heating up that resin, it'll become more liquid. It'll reduce the waiting time in between layers, which actually speeds up your print. And it also decreases the separation forces, which just means your print will be quicker and reliably successful. So that is something we've added to this printer that definitely will make a difference. We are also seeing that there are more and more ceramic filled materials coming onto the market, and those will require heating eventually. So this is really future-proofing your system. You can use it in any environment. There's no limitation on that. We also improved the printer to have some fail-safe mechanisms. For example, the build platform will lock automatically. As you start your print, it'll prompt you to heat your resin if that's necessary, if it's in a colder environment. That's the heating that moves around. And then as you start your print, there's a hood sensor that tells you to close your printer just to ensure that you don't waste any resin here. So that fail-safe technology is really there to ensure you have successful prints every time. So the build platform automatically locks as you start a print. And it also tilts after every print job and is finished, and that helps the resin drip back into the vat, and that way you preserve valuable resin. The thermal agitator and the heating, that's the heating rod, has a sensor that detects the resin temperature and prompts heating before you start the print. That way you can ensure you have perfect prints every time. And then there's also the hood sensor that ensures that you close the hood before each print, before you actually start your print job. That way you don't have any resin curing. We also focus heavily on creating materials and products that are built to last. So, and I think Jimmy and Kelly, you guys can speak to this. The printers are built very robust to really withstand any environment. Kelly, you're smiling.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone who owns a lab, we're rough on materials. We're hard on them. We often are going at a fast pace. We've got a lot of things to do, and we need things to be durable. And I think that's one of the things that really stands out among a lot of the printers that are out there is it's all metal. It's very durable. And I've yet to put a scratch on mine, and that is not because I've been handling it with white gloves, right? It's because it's just durable. And that's probably one of the features that really stands out among other printers that I've worked with before.
Yeah, I think that's good feedback, because I think, as we saw, right, in the LNT magazine survey, it does say that reliability and uptime is like one of the key things. Now, if your hood is damaged, you wouldn't be able to print, for example, and that's actually a key thing. A hood, if it was made out of plastic, you could actually damage that quite easily. So I think that's,
yeah, I mean, this thing is solid and thick. Yeah, it's not gonna be easily damaged at all.
It is a solid metal construction from base to hood, so you have a really strong components, right? There's nothing that you can really damage in any way, so it is quite nice. The monochrome LCD panel also improves the print speed and the component longevity. So monochrome LCD screens are built to last for a very long time, printing time. And then we also have the dynamic backlight system in the equipment, which is actually a technology developed at Ackuretta. It is our own. And this actually means that it only lights up that part of the print screen that is needed for each print. So especially with the Sol Plus having such a large build platform, you only light up that area of the print screen that is going to be needed for the print. Whereas other printers, and this is all LCD printers, light up the entire print screen, which means your LCD screen will actually decay quicker because you're constantly pushing all the power through it. So that is actually something very nice that Ackuretta has developed to ensure the longevity of all the components, that of the LEDs and that of the LCDs. If you have any questions about this, by the way, guys, feel free to put it in the chat. We will address them in our live Q&A session at the end. Now I'm talking a lot about technology here, and let's go into some details about what you can do with this as well. I think one of the key points that is most important to all our customers is our customer service, and that's the concierge service that is included with every Sol Plus printer, and it includes also a 2-year warranty on the Sol Plus. That means you get support every step of the way. We do have a validation ongoing, right? It is an open material system, but we still focus on validating all of the materials that you can use on this equipment. Currently on the Sol Plus, this is the list of resin manufacturers that are already validated. That's our own Ackuretta Curo line, the Argan Materials, Vago, Dentona, Keystone, Mac4D, Pactent, and Voco. But we are still working on validations continuously, and there will be a whole lot more coming out very shortly. So we're really looking forward to that. Why are we focusing on validating materials? We want to make sure that everything that comes out of our 3D printing system at the end of the curing can be used as a medical device. Now, this doesn't count for model materials because those might not be biocompatible, but everything from a splint to a provisional, those are medical devices that need to be validated produced in a validated workflow. And we'll highlight that a little bit further as well. But it's a lot of work. We focus on making sure that our resin manufacturers and Ackuretta work closely together so that your patients in the end walk home with something that is going to last and that is safe for them. So Kelly, Jimmy, you guys upgraded a bit. We showed in the beginning the picture of you two with your one printer. Now let's see what it looks like 1 year later in your lab. Here we go. First of all, beautiful environment. And I love that little yellow rose over here. Nice touch.
Valentine's Day.
It was Valentine's Day. I got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you guys added a few printers. How come?
Well, okay, so the way I view a lot of stuff when it comes to this stuff is, you know, I want to have replication, and you know, when the Soul Plus came out, we were like, this may be a great solution for us to be able to mass produce our models. But you know, models like you saw on the list is not the only thing we're doing, and so to be able to print other materials, I don't want one big printer. I want multiple printers. It's kind of the way I view my mills. If I ever have a mill go down and I've only got one, I'm not getting any work done. With my printers, it's the same thing. We're using them every single day. So we really can't be without. And if you've got a traffic jam waiting to print something with one printer, that can be an issue too. So we decided we just needed more and to have that replication.
Yeah, it became very apparent very quickly after we got our first printer how much we liked it and how much more we were exploring new resins and new applications of 3D printing that we needed more than one printer. So we quickly jumped on to getting a second one so that we could be printing splints at the same time we were printing models while we were waiting for, you know, crowns to be printed after that. And so when we saw that the Soul Plus was coming, we were very excited about it because we already knew we were really maxing out our production on the two that we had. And a lot of it was mostly models. And so when the Soul Plus came out and we found that we could print up to 8 full arches at a time, flat, and, you know, in as little as an hour, we're like, this is what we need to really kind of help our production flows. And, you know, we've just grown. We've grown and we have the ability to meet our needs plus more right now. And we're excited about that because I feel like 3D printing is just continuing on. This next picture is something that we do on occasion. We get some large model orders, and these were all printed in under a week's time on Soul Plus. This is something we do for another company that just needs mass production of a particular model. And I think the model order itself was for 200 of these models, which really is 400, you know, 400 quadrants, when you compare it an upper and a lower. And this has 125 of those. I had laid them out to count them out and just QC quality checked them, make sure that everything looked right before we packed it up. And it was kind of impressive when we laid it out on the table. I was like, Jimmy looked at me and goes, you should take a picture of that. That's impressive. And it kind of was, because you don't realize just how much you do until you have it all laid out right in front of you. And so, and this was something that we fit in between all the other things we were already doing for our lab. And so it was really nice to be able to do that. And so that's just an example of what we've done with it since we've had it in our lab. But then I know that we also have had some fun with this bigger printer because it's so big, it's got a big bill plate. So this is our friend. I actually have him right here. This is a business card holder. It's just a tooth that STL that I downloaded, but this, I don't know if you can really like get its size, but this like took 600 milliliters of resin to print, right? It's massive. It actually can hold our business cards. We just thought it was really fun. And it's just been neat to print things that in a manner that we've never done before. And I got teased a lot for doing it, but I had a lot of fun doing them and making those teeth. So
yeah, everyone in the audience, please vote whether or not this is slightly creepy. I'm on the slightly creepy side.
No, this is awesome. Every
it.
technician in my lab wants one. What are you talking about? This is so fun.
For everyone in the audience, if you're coming to Chicago, you know, on Sunday, we might let you walk away with it at lab day or
we can raffle this off. I'm just saying, this is cool. If you want a business card holder that's a tooth, come and see us.
All right. Well, talking about business, I think you have told me a little bit about your implant model workflows. and how Ackuretta makes a difference for that.
This was a
Yeah,
workflow we couldn't figure out before Ackuretta. I know, Jimmy, you can speak a lot more to this than I can from the technician side of things.
No, it's true. I mean, getting those replicas to even fit in the models when we were printing them before, we just outsourced all that because we just could not get accurate prints. And I wasn't going to dump big bucks on the big printers that would do that, so we just outsourced those things. But man, when we looked at what our outsource bill was by doing these implants, these implant models, and then once we got Ackuretta on board and we're using it, like, what a difference that made. And so, that alone, just doing those models justified having at least one printer just for doing those. Wouldn't you say, Cal?
Absolutely. I mean, if you have ever struggled with putting your DIM down into your implant model, that issue for us has gone away. It's really been a game changer. It really is something that I recommend. If you're not doing it and you're printing and you're not doing it, you need to be doing it. The other thing is on that last picture, all 8 of those were printed at the same time on the Plus. So that was a pretty cool thing to be able to do that many at once is a big deal. It may have taken some really fun arranging on the plate, but we got them all done together, and it's just neat to see our workflow really increase, because in the past we could only print 2 arches at a time, and now we're doing 8.
Yeah, so for only for that already made sense. And I think what we have to emphasize here as well is that the Soul Plus doesn't just have a large build platform, it also brings the precision with it, right? That you can actually fit those dies perfectly in there, and you don't have, the concern of it maybe not fitting in. That's where I think it makes the biggest difference. Yeah, the size is great, but the fact that you also have the precision with it that you actually need for dental workflows, I think that's where it's really a game changer for what we have on the market. Yeah.
We really enjoyed the resins that Ackuretta has chosen to partner with and give us validated workflows. I think that that's something that was a really big deal for us because we knew we wanted an open source, but I felt like sometimes open source comes with open risk, right? It's print at your own risk. Yeah, you can print anything, but is it really good? And that's where Ackuretta has kind of stepped up and said, hey, we have validated these. We have a workflow that takes all the guesswork. You don't have to know parameters. You don't have to figure out how to plug things in or adjust things. They've done that for you. And when something's not working on your end, that's where they step up their game with their concierge service, and they'll be like, okay, give it to us. We'll figure out why it's not working for you, and we're going to give it back to you, and it's going to work. And I love that about it.
Yeah, I think, you summed it up very nicely. I think the validation with the resin partners is one of the key things. The material that you guys have been seeing here, the beige material, is actually the Ackuretta Curo Element Beige, and it comes in a 5 kg jug, which is pretty awesome for the Soul Plus because you will need some good volume if you're printing a lot of models. It also comes in white, which was the beautiful big tooth that you saw. That was the Curo Element model white. I think you guys prefer the beige for margins, right?
I do. I think the contrast is really good. And so, you kind of get the shaded darker areas when you're looking at the different contrasts, and it makes it really easy to see. And also when I'm printing a die or something like that, it's also very easy for me to mark that margin with a red pencil or something when I'm fitting something on. So I'm able to draw on it as well. And I kind of like that. So.
Yeah. These would be the 2 most commonly used resins for us. We do all of our crown and bridge out of the beige, and then we do all of our diagnostic wax ups that we're returning back to our doctors in the white.
Oh, nice. Okay. Those are, they come out looking beautiful.
Yeah, it's a nice showpiece for a doctor to sell a patient a case on.
And the cool thing is you can print up to 400 models out of one of those jugs, which is pretty impressive too, And Kelly showed you guys earlier, you can do all of that in a week. And then these resins also come in 500-gram bottles. So if you are looking to just try it out first, you have that ability as well. Those are available in the US and Canada through our Ackuretta distributors. If you're outside of the US, you can just send us a message and we'll let you know. So let's sum up the Soul Plus, right? It is producing incredibly high precision prints. So anything you can print on a Soul, you could also print on a Soul Plus, which is like brown workflows, splint workflows come out beautifully. As you heard, implant models have a perfect fit as well. You have the option to print like on a really fine, which is a 30 micron layer thickness up to 150. If you are looking to print a bit faster. On FAI, we have a cool new feature, the variable layer thickness. So you can actually print the bottom half at 150. That's not as important to your print. And the top part at like 50 micron, which means you print the base fast and you print the top beautifully precise. We will also have a couple of new build platforms available for the Soap Plus coming soon. They are not ready yet. And the product is also fully integrated with the CURIE Plus, which means it communicates to the CURIE Plus what you last printed and then prompts you to cure it. We'll go into that a little bit down the line as well. So after you're printing, you're not quite done yet. Sorry, you also, obviously a question we get a lot as well is, what about support? And support is, as Kelly, Jimmy already touched on it, is one of the most important things in 3D printing. Now, Ackuretta covers this with the Concierge service. Concierge service is available in the US and Canada. In the rest of the world, it is Concierge World with some slight difference. It includes one-on-one remote onboarding and continued training. It includes a continued support throughout 2 years of the warranty. And you get a 2-year warranty, which makes sense. And you also have product exchange in case of any actual severe damage that we can't fix remotely. So this is the summary of the support that Ackuretta provides for every 3D printer that is sold through us. So you really are getting support every step of the way. Now, what does it look like when I get my Soul Plus or my Soul, for example? You get this little box. It's inside of your printer box. And you have inside of it, you get a USB stick. And that actually includes print-ready training files that are provided by Lee Culp, the CDT and CEO of Sculpture Studios. So he put on there some files that he designed himself. And in your onboarding session, you can actually already start your first print. If you don't have any files yourself, you just take one of the USB and start your print. And you have a unique serial number and QR code to register your concierge service. So it's really a handheld process. You don't have to do any of it by yourself. You have the Ackuretta customer success team that will help you every step of the way. And I think we all know support is key with equipment in labs, in offices. All right, now, after 3D printing, you're not quite done, right? You actually have to clean and wash your prints. So you might be already familiar with the CLEANI. The CLEANI with dual tanks was available previously in purple. Now we have changed it to gray. And it also includes a hydrometer, which indicates whether or not your IPA is still clean enough to continue using. It'll float up when your IPA should be replaced. It is a 2-stage wash solution, which is really recommended for most biocompatible prints. Always check the instructions by the resin manufacturer here. And it's a very easy one-click solution. It fits perfectly the Soul build platforms. So the dual tanks fit the Soul build platforms perfectly here. So that's really nice. Now we have a new option available. So you have the dual tanks. They're perfect for around 3 full arches, fit the Soul large, medium, and small build platform, and have a hydrometer. Now we also have the Tank Plus available for any workflows that you may have done with the Soul Plus. It fits up to 8 full arches per wash, and it is really minimal IPA contact because you can just lift the mesh basket out every time you're removing your prints. And it also has the hydrometer included. This is what the Tank Plus looks like. It fits perfectly onto the CLEANI base. So it's actually an accessory to the CLEANI that you can swap out. It also works the same way, obviously, with the various times and modes. And it has removable wash containers, so you can just swap those out. Now, Kelly, Jimmy, how do you guys do this in your lab with the wash solution?
Yeah, so what we do is we actually have both the dual tanks and the Tank Plus, and we use the same base and we swap them out. So when I'm working with my biocompatible prints, we know that it's recommended that we do a 2-stage cleaning, and we also know that we have to keep them separate from our non-biocompatible resins. And so my dual tanks, I keep strictly for all of the things that are going to live and go into the mouth, right? And then when I'm doing my models, I then just, all I have to do is lift them off, put on my Tank Plus, and I do all of my models in there. So it keeps my workflow very efficient. It's an easy switch. And I'm kind of staying within my FDA regulations and doing really best practice for how to clean these different applications.
Yeah. I think that's valuable input to make sure that you have those to swap out as you need them for specific resins, especially. Just don't really want to have any cross contamination. So, and if they have different colors, you might cause discoloration. So really having separate tanks per specific resin profiles, I think that makes a lot of sense. And will just help you keep it clean, basically. Yeah. So talking about the next steps in post-processing, we come back to the CURIE Plus, which is a product that we've already launched last year, but it fits in perfectly into the Sol Plus workflow because of its large curing chamber. It is also compatible with nitrogen tanks and generators, and is actually delivered with an N2 cover kit that allows you to create a densely packed N2 environment in your curing chamber. It's currently validated with over 30 materials, actually, and there are still several undergoing validation coming out shortly. The very neat thing about the CURIE Plus is how smart it is itself. It's natively integrated with the Sol and the Sol Plus, and it just makes it a very easy one-click workflow. So as you finish a print on your Sol Plus, it will then ask you if the print was successful. As you click yes, it communicates it to your CURIE Plus and show you exactly the resin profile you printed with. Now, if you have multiple people working in your lab or your office, this is really helpful because it prevents you from making any mistakes with the resin profile.
And Julia, I think that it is something that's so invaluable that you don't have to, every time you're switching a resin out, go and look up IFUs, plug in things. Everything is pre-programmed there. And the other thing that if you are looking into purchasing either a second Sol or a Sol Plus and you're adding to your family, the CURIE Plus actually has the ability to actually distinguish between which printer it came from. And so it keeps everything just completely streamlined and seamless. And you really don't have to guess like, well, which print was this and where did it come from? You know exactly where it is. And so it's really nice.
Yeah, that's a good addition to this. So yeah, the CURIE Plus, the resin library is automatically cloud-based and automatically updated. As long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, your CURIE Plus will have the latest updates of the resin profiles available for you. So that means anything that we're releasing on a Thursday, you will have on Thursday, same day, 2 minutes after its validation. So that's really cool because you're always up to date. You never have to look anything up with resin manufacturers for different curing units. And also, you're sure that the results you're getting are validated by the resin manufacturer and by Ackuretta. What you're getting is going to be accurate, dimensionally stable after post-processing, and it's going to be patient safe if it is a biocompatible print. And I think that is very valuable as we're seeing 3D printing becoming more the norm in offices and labs. All right, so the CURIE Plus specs are here as well. 65 LEDs, it is a larger unit, so it needs more LEDs. It is a mixed matrix curing that covers 365, 385, and 405. And that's important because resins are packed with different photo initiators. You need those to make sure your print is going to be dimensionally stable and also is going to have a good shade. And we have 360 curing again, which is really important that you're getting a complete cure at your entire area. Otherwise, you may have post-process shrinkage. And that's not the case with the CURIE Plus. You get everything out perfectly cured. Now, curing times is something I would take with a little bit of a grain of salt because they are going to be very different depending on which material you've used. Model materials are somewhere around 10 minutes. Restorative materials can be anywhere from 2 minutes to 20 minutes. That's going to be very dependent on the resin that you work with. Splint materials are somewhere around 10 minutes. All of those resin profiles are preset in your CURIE Plus. So you don't have to worry about finding the times anywhere yourself. Anything that is validated on the Ackuretta system will be automatically in your CURIE Plus. So you don't need to go find out. Now, if it is a resin that is not validated by us, send us a message. But that's a different story then. Yeah. But Ackuretta validated materials are listed. We also have the option to cure with nitrogen, and we're seeing this become a more and more important topic as new materials are coming to the market. All of the material properties that you see listed on websites are going to be shown at peak performance, and that is usually measured under nitrogen curing. You just achieve a higher hardness of materials if they've been cured under nitrogen. And especially with ceramic filled materials that are FDA approved or MDR listed for permanent restorations, those are often recommended to be cured with nitrogen. So that is something where we wanted to future-proof our system. Plus, you get really improved aesthetics for restorative and transparent materials. So Jimmy and Kelly have been doing this in their lab, nitrogen curing, for some time now. So I'm going to hand it over to you guys. What are the differences you've observed?
Go ahead, Cal.
So with our night guards, you know, we recently had switched into working with our clear materials. And one of the things that we were noticing is that after they were post-processed, they had a yellow hue to them. Now, a lot of times this yellow hue will calm down after 24 or 48 hours, but a lot of times we're delivering these the next day and we don't want to chance that. And so we learned about nitrogen and learned that not only does it enhance its flexural strength, making them stronger, but we learned that it could help with this yellowing. And this is a great example of two night guards that we printed at the exact same time. In fact, you can tell they're the same night guard. And we did one with nitrogen and one without. And the results immediately, you can see, were quite a bit less yellow. And just as a lab that's selling these to a doctor who wants a crystal clear night guard and doesn't want a yellow night guard, this was a much better option for us and really made a difference in the night guards that we were producing. And we were very happy with those results.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, it's hard to show a picture of how flexural strength is, for example, improved.
Right.
But it's actually, yeah, there's a couple of studies on it, and it's quite interesting to see how it makes a difference. And we'll publish about this more in the future. And so there's some exciting things coming as well. So I think now would be a good time to talk about a little bit the cases that you guys do in your lab, how 3D printing has opened up some doors maybe, as you're now able to produce such precision that you may not have had previously.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like with the picture you can see with that element model beige. I mean, what I like about that, besides just the accuracy, like you can see the difference in the texture that it kind of prints with, and so it has this feel, and actually really makes it feel almost like stone does. So for a dental technician, that's really kind of nice. But one of the things we really didn't anticipate was when we would print out our diagnostics, doing them digitally, we would print them out and send them to the doctors. We also started getting requests for trays. And so we just decided, hey, let's just see how that goes. And printing with this Hero tray material has been really cool because it actually opened up, because we're strictly a fixed lab. But between night guards and now custom trays, I mean, we're sending out custom trays, and it's just a little bit of extra revenue with every single diagnostic that we do. And when doctors get them, like, they just love them. And so more and more requests start coming in for them. So it's really been a kind of nice addition, something that we didn't even plan on. And it's almost like, hey, we're probably gonna have to consider another printer at some point just for doing custom trays. So, which is kind of cool.
I mean, that's neat. I think you guys also have the point now where you can almost dedicate one printer to each workflow. I mean,
exactly. Yes, exactly.
No, I mean, that's the goal, right? I think there's one more material I'd like to ask you guys about that's been a really hot topic that we've actually just validated the second version of what they've just launched. And that is the packed-in rodent sculpture material. So this is beautiful. That's a beautiful picture. So thank you for sending us that. What have you guys been doing with the ceramic filled materials, and how do you feel about it?
So, you know, when it all first kind of became a hot topic, I remember last year at Chicago, like everything was nano ceramic. And I remember looking at them like, all right, well, that's kind of cool. But, you know, for the most part, this is probably going to be temporary material, and that's pretty much what, you know, everybody kind of talked about using it for. But I started getting, we do a lot of hybrids, you know, like this kind of a case, and I thought, hey, let's try one like that, because some of these patients are in these for a little more long term, and I wanted to see how it would work. And this has become like my favorite thing. I wish this was a permanent, because they're beautiful. And so printing these things has, you know, we used to mill them, and as much as I love milling, being able to print them, they're so much more accurate looking. They're so much more detailed than you can get from a mill. It's my favorite way to do this stuff. And so we do these on all of our hybrids now, and then we'll apply, you know, a little composite to do the gingiva, but it polishes really nice, or you can overglaze it. It's just kind of whatever you want to do with that, but just a fantastic material. And the print on these is so predictable. I don't think we ever have any trouble printing these. Wouldn't you say, Cal?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the difference between milling and printing is that you aren't limited by milling strategies, right? You're not limited by the angle of burr. A printer can print an exact replica of whatever we've created. And so we don't mill PMMA anymore in our lab. The only time we ever do is if we have a really funky shade and we didn't have, you know, all the options like the 2.0 of sculpture it has now with all the shades. But we print everything. It's faster, it's less time on your spindles, less burr cost, and we just really like the end result so much more that it's something that's kind of become obsolete in our lab now that we have printers.
And we're even seeing now, I'm starting to see more and more cases that are coming in where it is not even a big case like this, but we're starting to get more requests for just crowns, single units, anteriors mostly, printed out of nanoceramics. So we're just seeing more. It's just growing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's more coming, right? Sculpture 2.0 has just launched and is available on the Soul as well, and it'll be available on the Soul Plus as it launches as well. So this is coming out, and you can print a whole base, like a whole build platform full of teeth ready to go. Like, I mean, I think that's pretty neat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing those. So it's always interesting to me, the questions that we do have to address. And that is, as we're talking about Sculpture 2.0, we also need to address the fact that those are medical devices, right? They are put in the mouth, mostly provisional at this point. Long-term provisionals, though. So what is key is that we have a validated workflow, which I can say not all 3D printers on the market do. What does it actually mean when we say validated workflow? It means we work with the resin manufacturers hand in hand to ensure what comes out of the curing unit is already ready to be a medical device. So how does this impact the user? In our Alpha AI software, all you need to do is you go select the resin manufacturer of the material you have. You'll have a bottle with the name on it. There's around 30 resin manufacturers listed as of now. Then you send your print to the printer. All you're going to see is here the name of the resin, nothing for you to do there. Everything is preset, everything is pre-calibrated. Just select and go. And finally, in your curing unit, same principle. Everything is pre-selected. So you just go to resin brand as you see here on the screen. You select that, you select the name of the resin you're using, you click, start your cure, and that's it, and you go off. And in the end, that finished piece is going to be the FDA approved or Health Canada approved, or in Europe, it would be MDR approved material. So that is a key thing. That's what Ackuretta really stands for, on ensuring that validation happens and that patients are safe and that the users have that peace of mind every time they use the equipment. So summarizing, the Ackuretta Soul Plus solution is everything that Ackuretta does best, I'd say. It is an easy to use workflow with Wi-Fi integrations, making sure every step of the way you have to press as few buttons as humanly possible. We want to make it basically only 3. Start your print, start your wash, start your cure. That's the goal. And then we have biocompatible dental workflows for industry-leading resins. We work very closely with these resin manufacturers to make sure that our users always have the most up-to-date settings available. And it is really reliably efficient. You can print up to 28 full arches on the Solve Plus, and you just send it to cure in your CURIE Plus. So that is the Ackuretta Plus solution as it is available now. Jimmy, Kelly, you guys have been using exactly the solution that I'm showing here right now. Am I saying the right things here?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, it has really just been a seamless integration into our lab that has only enhanced what we've been able to offer our doctors, as well as just enhance our overall throughput in the lab. And it's really been a perfect solution for us.